Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Build. Now I know what you're thinking, it's been far too long since our last Let's Build, that castle in the background, that shining tribute to Verrigan's Hold. Well, we're here and we're back, and this time we are building a kingdom. Every castle needs a kingdom, and every king needs subjects to rule over. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a city in front of the castle to populate this world, this fantasy realm, this fantasy kingdom. Now you see here, we've got a big kind of spread of swamps in front of the castle. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've just cleared that out beforehand just to give us some flat grass to work with. And once that's out of the way, we can start framing, creating our canvas, framing the area we're going to be building by placing down a wall. Now I hope you recognise the theme we're going for with this wall. The idea is we're going to be copying the theme that we used for the walls on the castle, because we want the castle to look like it belongs to this kingdom, and we want the kingdom to look like it belongs to the castle. So the walls should be identical to the walls you see in the castle that we've built in the background. There will be slight differences. We're going to be spacing the towers out a little bit differently, and there aren't going to be any gates in this, because luckily our swamp section, the canvas that we're framing, is bordered by a river. And we're going to make use of that by cutting down on the amount of walls we have to build, and perhaps incorporate a kind of docks district or a riverboat area for docking into the city. Should we get to that stage, and should we feel it fits the theme? As you can see in the background, I've opted to use stone bricks, keeping with the same theme. The crenellations, when you're doing crenellations, it's important to realise that you're going to want an odd number of blocks when you start doing. And there's the wonderful English weather to spirit us on through our wall building. It's important to remember when you're doing crenellations on a wall or on a castle top, the best way to get them to fit properly is to make your wall sections odd in length. By that I mean you want a wall to be 21 bricks long, 25 bricks long. As long as it's odd, you will get the right amount of spacing, because if you hold up your hand and you hold down, say, your ring finger and your index finger, you can see you got an odd number of fingers, and if you hold down those fingers, you get even spacing. And the same carries on with any number that is odd. You should be able to squeeze in the crenellations at even intervals, so they will look correct. But if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, and I don't think it's worth going all the way back to your walls and sides of the buildings to completely resize a structure just to get the crenellations to look right. You can kind of bodge it. You can put the crenellations slightly wonky, slightly lopsided, and people won't generally notice. It's more important that you don't demoralize yourself with the build and just keep the crenellations slightly wonky, because it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make, at least. You can see here I've spaced out an area every 20 blocks I did for the towers there. These towers are identical to the ones you see on the castle, and there's me building one quickly on the left. But I built them 20 apart, and this was a big mistake, because it meant I got the crenellations incorrect. And you see there, 21 blocks is the ideal number you want. Well, obviously any odd number will work, but 21 would have been ideal, especially if you're copying this build. As you can see, I quickly threw up the rest of the towers, because they are all identical, and I wanted to stick with the theme, like I said, that we used on the original castle, and so it only followed suit that I stick with the same tower design as well. Well, whew, finally that's one half done, but guess what? We've got a whole other side to do. So strap yourselves in and let's build the wall on the other side. I had to do a bit of terraforming here, because there was a few blocks of dirt in the way, and also my walls overlapped the water slightly. I hadn't quite built out the grass far enough, but that's not the end of the world. As long as the area inside your walls is fine, you can build on water and even build up mountains slightly and get away with it. If you want to make your castle fully defensible, if you want nobody to be able to jump up onto your walls from mountains from the side, I mean, you can see there on the left, somebody could easily just come down that hill, jump on your wall and laugh and say, ha, you've got a wall, what's the point, I just jumped on it. If you want to go ahead and just chop down those mountains at the side, that's probably advisable if you want your castle to be defensible. But otherwise, if you just want it to be a visual piece, what's the harm in leaving it there, I say. I'm using wood again for the central walkways on these walls, and again I'm mimicking the tower designs that we used on the opposite wall and on the castle. Now, the idea behind building the walls first is twofold. It's the most boring part of this whole Let's Build, so we needed to get it out of the way soon, so that we could get onto the meat and fish, the enjoyable parts of the Let's Build. But also, what it does is, and I covered this in the title of the video, it creates a canvas. It frames the area that you're going to be building. Now, this can be seen as a good or a bad thing. In some ways, it's better to not frame the area you're building, because if you want to expand the building by X amount of blocks, if you want to move things around, if you find out you've just not quite got enough space, then you won't have a big wall that you've spent ages building blocking you and kind of saying, well, no, you're locked in to what I say you can do. But framing the canvas like this, what it does mean is we can then print off, and at the end of the video I will tell you more about this, but it lets you be able to take a picture of the area that you've got. It lets you have the framed area that we're going to be building in, and then from that you can, in a paint program, MS Paint, something like that, or even print it off and use a pencil or something, you can roughly draw out, or even precisely draw out if you want to use grid paper, exactly where you're putting things. I mean, much like you might rearrange room furniture, if you've ever done that with squares on a piece of paper, you can do the same with Minecraft foundations and setups. Before you do that, you're going to want to know what exactly it is that you're going to be putting in the city. Are you going to be having a church, slums district, market square, docks, government district, rich district, shops, blacksmiths, etc.? What framing the canvas lets you do is it gives you a zone that you can say, right, this is where I'm going to build things, and you can shuffle things around until you get a design that you feel looks great. Obviously lighting is key, and here you see me going back through the walls, knocking in windows along the front and back, and spacing the torches at even intervals to make sure everything's pleasantly lighted up. When you're lighting a structure like this, it doesn't really matter how much light you put in. I mean, you can go the moody route and not place a great deal of torches, or you can just bombard the place with torches. But the main important thing is consistency. You're going to want to keep those torches even spaces apart so that everything looks the same. And as dawn approaches, you can see we finally finished that second section of wall. And there we go. That is our canvas. This is the area we have to work with. Hopefully these sheep will get out of the way before construction begins, but as you can see, we've got the areas set out, we've got the walls built, and it's time to get to the planning phase. Now, this is where you guys come in. In the info, there is a picture for you to have a look at, and I want you guys to take a look at the picture, open it in your favorite image editing program, Paint, MS Paint, whatever, print it off, use a pencil, whatever. And I want you guys to draw out what you think should be in our kingdom, because I very much want this to be a community project, and I want you guys to have some kind of input. I want you guys to design what you think the kingdom should be. I want you to plot down where you think churches should be, market squares, all these kinds of things. Anything you think should, could, would go in our kingdom, plot it down and submit it in the thread that I've linked in the info, and the best ones will be featured and possibly even used in the upcoming Let's Build. So that's been part 1 of Let's Build a Kingdom. I hope you've enjoyed, and stay tuned, because next time it gets really interesting when we take a look at some of the plans you guys have designed and we get underway with construction of the kingdom. I've been Sjin. I hope you've enjoyed. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.